to week 2 of ECL League, where we are going into our Shadowmoor phase. So, Shadowmoor was 6 packs, one of each of the last 6 Universes Within sets, and this was our pool as it stood going into week 2. As you can see, my white was a little weak to start out. It's very thin, buoyed a little bit by like Reputable Merchant, Monastery Messenger, and Veteran Guard Mouse. But like, all in all, not the greatest set of cards in the world. Our blue was by far our deepest color. We've got Storm Chasers. So, just looking at the rares, we've got Archmage of Ruins, Storm Chasers Talent, Gene Morph Imago. All really good reasons to be in blue and or blue-green. Adding the mythics, you'll see we've got a Baitor, which we'll get to in a second. But looking at just our rares, we kind of want to start in blue. Lava Leaper, not a relevant card, and will never make more than likely any deck that I'm building. Sunspine Lynx, it's a decent card. There's not a ton of non-basic lands in this format, given that we only have 6 packs where you could possibly have non-basic lands, or potentially it could be opened as a rare from the ECL packs. So Sunspine Lynx is more than likely just going to be a 4-mana 5/4 that says damage can't be prevented, which is a fine stat line. It's not great, but it's a fine stat line. So we also have the Abigail that we passed over here when we took Kin Binding for Lorwyn. It's a black card. It's not really in our first couple of rares, but Mossborn Hydra is. And Mossborn Hydra is not the greatest card. It's a 1/1 that comes a 2/2 that becomes a 4/4 that becomes an 8/8. You need 4 landfall triggers for it to become a decent creature. A 3-mana 4/4 is fine, but it's not anything amazing. So you really want to trigger it 4 times before it becomes a problem for your opponent. Now, we'll get back to Baitor and Abigail, because one of the issues that we ran into with our pool is that it's a little weak. Some parts of it are definitely weaker than others. We've got Unable to Scream, which is a great enchantment. We've got Fresh Start, which is just a different version of Unable to Scream. Unable to Scream is a much better version of Fresh Start, but Fresh Start has flash, and so it has its uses. Skystreak Engineer, great card. It gives us a mana sink later on, which is something that we really lack in ECL. One of the reasons that you want to play certain colors is that you really lack certain things in ECL, and one of those is a good mana sink to hold up while you're holding up some instant speed stuff. So having something like Skystreak Engineer is going to be really useful. Temur Devote is a 2-mana 3/3 defender that also fixes for green. We've got a Mocking Sprite, which is a fine 3-drop. It's not anything we're enthusiastic about. Another great card, Stock Up. Card's amazing. We would love to have multiple copies of it. In fact, unfortunately, we only have the one. So right now, our curve is looking okay from the blue perspective. Twist Reality is a fine card. Calamitous Tide is a good card. Bouncing 2 creatures and then drawing a card is a good effect. But what you're seeing here, though, is that we're already looking a little thin on our blue. Even though it was our largest color, we're not playing a null. We might play Enter the Enigma, but we're not playing like Wingspan Stride, Guide-like Optimizer. These cards were good in their formats. They're not so good in a Chaos pool. Steel Storm Operator might make a deck. It's a 2-mana 1/1 flyer that sometimes does something. It's not great. Looking at our blue from the other perspective, we've got like Stratosaur, which is good because it'll allow us to fix our mana. We've got Unexpected Assistance, Temporal Cleansing, and then potentially we'll play the Kolrath Mystics. So it's fine in terms of what we get. We also have in our black, we're looking at like Thornplate Intimidator, which is a rat that makes another rat, and your opponent has to either lose 3 life, sacrifice an on-land permanent, or discard a card. It's not the greatest effect. It's not the worst. And if you ever have... What we're looking for really is just something that we can dump mana into if the game goes late. And Thornplate Intimidator does that. It'll make a 1/1, which is not the most effective creature, but forcing our opponent to either discard a card, sacrifice an on-land permanent, or lose 3 life is a relevant effect. Cruel Truths is something we might play. It's expensive draw spell. It is instant speed, which makes it a little better. Now, Billowing Shriek Mass, also a fine card. It's a 2/3 flyer. More than likely, it's going to end up being a 4/4. And then we get into like Bake Into a Pie and Murder, which are both really good removal spells that we really want in our deck in black. Carrion Cruiser gets us cards back from our graveyard. Mutant Surveyor just draws a card. Wreckage Wickerfold because a 2-mana 1/3 flyer. This card's wild for a common. A 2-mana 1/3 flyer that when it enters Surveil 2, heck yes, putting it in the card every single time. And then obviously Tragic Trajectory, which we can trigger pretty consistently. We don't need to be warping or sacrificing. Things are gonna die at some point, whether we're swinging in or we're casting like a Murder or they're sacking something to Thornplate Intimidator. This card typically is a -10/-10. In terms of fixing, we've got like Haunted Screen, 3-Tree Mascot. We've got some tap lands, specifically Jungle Hollow, Thornwood Falls, Uncharted Haven, that we'll be playing that'll allow us to help fix. But as it stands right now, we're at 27 cards, and so we need to fill out the curve a little bit more because I'm not willing to play Gut Splitter Gang. I'm not willing to play Crypt Feaster. I'm not willing to play Temporal Intervention. Iron Shield Elf might make the deck. We could play Shimmer Creep, but even still, we're missing playables, and we'd like to be able to play Genemorph Imago and Mossborn Hydra. So, looking at our green, we've got access to Broodheart Engine. We've got Venom Sack-Lagak. We have Biosynthetic Burst, which is a good combat trick. We've got Llanowar Elves. Lissalana Dignitary is not something we're probably going to play. We can't trigger it consistently. Safe Right Cavalry is a good card. Rush Shield Rampager is a good card. 4-mana 4/4s that do a thing. Beastkin Ranger is an elf, which is occasionally relevant. This is a copy of the Kithkin version from ECL, except it's an elf, which is randomly relevant because I would much rather play a Beastkin Ranger than I would the 3/3 Kithkin in my Elf's deck, if that's what we end up getting into. We got a Slavering Branch Snapper for 4 cycling, and obviously we have Abigail. So Abigail gets into the deck if we are blue-black, 30-card deck. Now we just need to figure out what we're filling out the curve with. So Shimmer Creep, not as good in a non-vivid scenario, and as you can see, we're kind of straight blue-black. We might do some modification with some of the other cards in here, like we want to play Baitor if we can. Double splashing Baitor is a little rough, but we'll see what we can do. But aside from that, you've got like the Sarkhan's Resolve. Like our green is decent. All in all, it's like we want to be either There it is. We want to be in blue in some way, and we want to be in like black or green. So a Sultai pile is probably where this ends up more than likely. And I think splashing for Baitor is worth enough that we're willing to take a double splash if we are just straight blue-black, which right now it doesn't seem like we are. If that's the case, I might want to play... We can play Veteran Ice Climber in blue. We can play Blighted Blackthorn, Fear of the Dark. And that's kind of all that we're looking for from this. This is tough. This is going to be tough if we're not green-black. Like green-black or black-white, potentially we can splash it. As it stands right now, this is a tough one. So maybe what we're supposed to do in this situation is find Junkblade Bruiser's a good card. See, like we can add a Chaos Spewer. We could add some random stuff from blue or black. It's not going to be good. So the alternative is we make do with something like Dissient Earth Carver. Our green is so weak. Like Gene Morphomago, I'm willing to maybe splash. Mossborn Hydra, I'm willing to maybe splash. But all in all, it's not where we want to be. And of course, Fear of the Dark, Cruel Truce, not exactly good cards that we want to play. They're like filler. So, as you can see, tough pool. Not quite enough playables to make it work from a blue-black perspective. Not quite enough playables to make it work from a green-black perspective. Not quite enough playables to make it work from a blue-green perspective. So we're on probably just play Sultai and make it work. Alright. That's all I got. So we'll see you in games.